Alright guys, I just want to share with you something quite quite incredible. And I've been having a strange couple of weeks, like very spiritual. You know, when something spiritual's going on, you can't kind of feel it. And then something really weird happened the other night, is that I was just, you know, plodding about on YouTube and stuff, and it came up with this Tom Cruise thing, Missiles it says, and I just clicked on it and it turned out to be Top Gun. I was like, "Wow, is this a new one?" And I actually seen the new one, so I watched it I watched it all the way through, and then I went to sort of download it the next day, and literally the YouTube video had gone. But there was quite an emotional, it was a really good film, but quite an emotional bit. But there was one part that really sort of got me spiritually, and there's this part where he goes on this test mission thing. Basically the boss says, you can't do that mission in that time, and it was something like 2 minutes and 15 seconds. And it's interesting because people talk about timings and people laugh and go, "Oh, it won't be that long," or "World War III won't happen in that time, we won't have a new king by next year," and stuff like that. And so I took this 215 because it was quite a prominent number, and I thought, well, how can I calculate this? Because I know, like, as we're talking today even, we've got like 72 weeks on the clock. Countdown until the, you know, everything's complete really, when the throne of God hits. Hits the earth, according to my understanding, according to World War III being in the fall of mid of 2026, then the passing of the throne being 5 months earlier at Tibet 14th, January 3rd, 2026. And so I was like, can I compare this in any sort of way to my timeline? So I took the 2 minutes and 15 seconds and sort of, the thing I could do is convert it into seconds. So then you got 135 seconds, 135 altogether. And so I thought, well, 135, and then you're thinking 70 is like half of it. So I thought, well, 2 seconds per week, and then that sort of gets you at the right point. And then 135, which is the mission, the whole mission that of this test mission that he was doing in the movie.
Who the hell is that?
Maverick to range control. Entering Point Alpha. Confirm green range.
Maverick, range control. Green range is confirmed. I don't see an event scheduled for you, sir.
Well, I'm going anyway.
Nice.
Setting time to target, 2 minutes, 15 seconds.
2:15, that's impossible.
Would actually be something like 67.5, I think it is. So we're not quite there yet. But like 72 weeks right now. So obviously 67.5 weeks is, you know, about 6 weeks away. So I tried to sort of compare it because it was weird. There were strange parts of this mission. So I thought, can this relate in any way? So I thought about it yesterday, and I've been thinking about it today as well. And just go run through it kind of briefly. Try and sort of explain to you the similes. So we start this mission at 2:15, which, like I say, would be what we're in now, the beginning of August. It'll probably be in about sort of the beginning of September, mid-September this year. And so that's when he starts to wind through all these mountains, working very hard, winding through these mountains, kind of going undetected as well by these missiles that are sitting on the top of the mountains. So he's winding through these valleys. And that's a long part of it, actually. And, you know, like I say, we've got 72 weeks on the clock.
Mavericks inbound.
Then when he exits the death valleys, you could call it, yeah, it's at 40 seconds, you know, 40 seconds. So that would equate to 20 weeks. All right, so I mean, like 20 weeks though, if you were looking at it from like the countdown point of view, that would be literally sort of next year time, yeah. So he goes from 40 seconds, 20 weeks, and he's going along this, there's the other thing, he's going along this flat plane where there's just nothing, it's just shh. So from a ministry point of view, that'd be literally where you'd be doing nothing. Almost like you were resting or asleep or in jail or something like that. So he gets to the end of this flat valley and there's like 30 seconds remaining on his clock. And then he pulls up like this to go up the side of this volcano, let's say.
Pumping in 3, 2, 1.
So that would equate to like 15 weeks for us. Which is interesting because when you think about it, okay, you got 40 days of the seals for the Antichrist to be crowned king, let's say end of November next year. Through to that 14th, all right, January 3rd. That would be 6 weeks because it's 40 days. 40 days around 6 weeks. So 15 weeks is roughly just over another 40 days, which is interesting now because just roughly, this is not very specific, and I don't know if it's even supposed to be very specific, but so 15 weeks would probably be around the Feast of Tabernacles or something. So that would equate to around Jesus' 8th completion birthday next year. All right, and the Feast of Trumpets and the Feast of Tabernacles around that sort of time of year. That's when approximately, I'm doing this a little approximate, like it's not specific, but that's when approximately you would have 15 weeks or 30 seconds left on the clock before you start to go from this flat plane and start climbing up this mountain to do the actual mission itself. So it's quite amazing. So that's when you go from a flat plane, you know, Feast of Tabernacles, Feast of Trumpets, to be going up the mountain to do the main mission. So I guess you could say, so we got 10 seconds, we got 5 weeks, 5 weeks. So like 5 weeks, or I don't know, maybe 6 weeks, like a month and a half before the Feast of Tabernacles. Could be this flat plane when you're doing nothing. And that's interesting as well, because I mean, next year I've got this thing where my star Vesta is coming in to Virgo, Israel. Coming into Virgo, Israel in like June time, which, you know, is a couple of months before the feast time. So I don't know, it's just weird how you got this big flat plane, 5-6 weeks, call it a month and a half, and yet my star Vesta comes, and I don't know, is it going to be an Israel visit? I don't know, is it going to be an Israel visit? Because if it was, then it would start then, and then you have this flat plane. To the feast time. And then it goes and then starts to climb up the mountain, the volcano, let's say, to do the actual mission itself. And that would be Feast of Tabernacles. And then climbing up, Feast of Tabernacles, obviously we'd know, because when the inheritance event happens on the Feast of Tabernacles, just after his 8th birthday on the Feast of Trumpets, obviously the 2025 we're talking about, then it all starts then. So it all begins, you know, we'll know then. In fact, everyone will be going crazy about what were them sounds in the heavens. Israel have done this. Blessed is he who comes in the name of the Lord. Did you hear all the animals go crazy? Everyone will know something just happened. And then there'd be like 15 weeks left on the clock, so to speak, and start to climb up the volcano, and then up and then over into the volcano like this, and then start to go down. point is interesting because I did it briefly, you know, trying to count the seconds and stuff. And just as they lock onto the target, which you could say is the seals happening and Prince William coming as king, you know, that would be end of November. And then as they drop the bombs towards the target, it's literally not far away from the 40 days of the seals beginning. Like I said, November, the end of November. Well, interesting, isn't it? So the bombs get dropped like this towards the Antichrist, if you like, who is the target. So the bombs get dropped towards him. Not literally, by the way. This is a whole spiritual battle thing I'm talking about. And I literally, when he drops them bombs towards the target, Maverick, is when that would be when the seals begin, in basic language, yeah? And then he pulls up like this, and an interesting thing about it, he keeps his eye on the target. So you keep your eye on the Antichrist as we're going, starting to climb out of the volcano now.
Bombs away.
And the bombs going towards the target, if you like, are the seals happening through like late November through December, all of December to that 14th. And when them bombs hit, you know,
bullseye, holy shit.
you know, that is the throne hitting. I thought it was quite amazing because all these little things happening are kind of like the things that I'm looked to maybe be happening during that time. The other thing is, what's this quick quiet spot, you know, between 40 seconds and 30 seconds? Between 20 weeks and 15 weeks, like Feast of Tabernacles. So I don't know, it's a big quiet spot. Who knows what it might be? I'm locked in jail or something like that. I don't know, but I found it quite amazing. I know it's quite confusing, but it was just so spiritual and a bit emotional that I was like, whoa, wow, look at that. I compared it to my mission, set the timer, did the conversion 2 seconds per week, and then boom, you got an exact same simile. And the interesting thing is that obviously there's going to be a long winding, because he started off at 2 minutes 15, and when he exited there was 40 seconds left. So obviously you can tell. So when you start this mission, or when I start this mission, or start this journey even, because this is a big journey, starting at 67 seconds, but when you exit this winding death valleys of undetection even as well, that's another thing. It's like maybe you'll be going under the radar as you always have been, Justin, and nobody will be listening to you, undetected underneath here like that, and then you boom, you exit. So we went in at 67 weeks left, which will be coming up in about 6 weeks. And so at the very beginning of that mission, I mean, what I'm saying is between now, which is 72 weeks, and the mission beginning at, 2 minutes and 15, which equals 135 seconds, which equals 67.5 weeks. So between now and 67.5 weeks, obviously I'd need to make sure that most of my main stuff that I wanted to complete will be complete. I mean, let's make a comparison. I mean, would Maverick go out and get to that point and then check that he's got all his missiles ready, you know what I mean, or check he's got enough fuel? I mean, all them things would be ready before the 215 begins, before 67 weeks begins. Like, so I just take that as a bit of simile and a bit of a, I don't know, maybe a bit of a kickstart actually, just to think, well, why don't I make sure everything's done before then? I'm pretty good at getting things done, but there are a few little strangly things like presentations. So at 14th presentation, World War, Signs in the Heavens, basically presentation. I'm putting all the new stuff that I've done, illustrations, into a book, into my printable books, and presentations as well, and just make sure get all that squeaky clean, you know, before the 67 weeks begins, I suppose. And then we're going to exit at 20 weeks left, so that's a big, I mean, that's like nearly a year, isn't it? You know, 67 take away 40, so yeah, it'll be like this time, yeah, I suppose it'll be like this time next year. When you will exit the Death Valley and go along that flat plain on the run up to the Feast of Trumpets, so to speak. So I hope I got through. I know it's a bit quirky and it's a bit weird, and it might not mean anything, but it's interesting timings and stuff. So God bless you all. I've been Pastor Prophet Justin Roberts from End of the Age Bible Prophecy. God bless you all. Amen.